Let me check my volume here. Yes, I guess it's good. You know, it really does take so much strength to contain yourself when you know that injustices have occurred. I was considering one of the other videos I made about the art of being human, which maybe that's my next channel. The art of being human. It sounds like a really good idea. We as a world, not just as a nation, have forgotten what it even means to be a part of a religious faith. They say that they do, but it seems that some of these religions are the most wealthy in the world. Yeah, the one that was raised in was, in the LDS faith, is very much, the wealthiest religion in the world. But and it's not the only one that that uses, wealth, for power. In fact, religion in and of itself, in my opinion, and some other people's opinion, is just for government power over the people. It is. And right now we are in a technological race to glean more knowledge of the universe in a very profound way, which is really going to cause a lot of, cognizant dissonance, as they say. But, and to speak about that is an understatement personally for me, because not only did I find out about my faith, I lost my family, I lost friends, I had people that were supposed to actually care about me completely betray me. Not just a little bit, but tremendous betrayal. People that I counted on. Now, there's a lot that I can say about that, but I think the main reason is because they were offered money to defame me, which set people up in their minds to do really diabolical things to harm me as a person. I wasn't doing anything to anyone. I was singing. I'm a singer. That's what I do. And my gifts beyond that, it just comes with the packaging. It does, I had no intention of being any kind of religious leader. That was not what I felt like my calling was at all. I thought my calling was to be a singer. I mean, that's what I really love. That's what makes me happy. That is my path. But even that was too much. They had to destroy that too and steal everything that I have ever done, including my own songs and my own work and my own writing throughout my entire life, to erase me as if I never existed. That's how badly they wanted to win this, competition? And they had people in leadership helping them do it. I can't change the facts. And everybody here knows probably more than I do, what even the facts are. I don't even know all of it. All I can do is go by my gut and be disappointed in people that, really should have defended me every step of the way, especially my kids, right? But there's another dynamic here at play. There's this dynamic especially in the United States. Well, no, excuse me. I beg your pardon, because I know that's wrong. The United States actually is more forward thinking when it comes to intelligent women or successful women. Nevertheless, even though there's other countries that do not believe in the power of a woman and that they need to stand behind the guy, behind the man, you know, I would eat you up and spit you out. You would never last a minute with me. You wouldn't. You think you might, but you wouldn't. I'm a very, very bullheaded person too. But I'm not bullheaded because I want to overpower somebody. I'm bullheaded about things that actually matter, like freedom, about, you know, making the world safer for women or small groups of people that don't have a way to really defend themselves, that have been taken over for way too long. Trust me, if you are a real arrogant son of a gun, you're not going to like me. I don't put up with it. You know, I have tried to be in marriages before, and maybe I'll do it again if I find the right person. But the reason why I can't is because of this domineering, bullying, arrogant idea that is in most, which is in a lot of religions, that the wife needs to be back here and that she doesn't get to speak her own mind and say how she really feels about anything. That he's the man, you know, and you know, that is just, in my mind, that is such a turnoff. I just, oh, you know, anybody that tries to overpower me. Now, my last marriage, I realize they said I got married for money, but it turns out that I was actually the one that supported him. He didn't work. No, he didn't. He worked maybe for a few months before he didn't get his contract with the city of Davis County. But I was the one that supported him. But so many lies have been told out there. And that's just one of them, okay? Now, all of us have, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you remember when you found out as a child? Now, this is actually a fun question. Do you remember when you found out that Santa Claus wasn't real and that it was your parents that brought in toys? Do you remember? Because even the Christians, you know, believed in the pagan form of course, of Christmas, and that there was Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, and there was Saint Nicholas who did probably make wooden toys and gave them to little kids, and so that's how Santa Claus got started. But you remember that, you know, I remember, oh, there's one Christmas I remember when I was so excited for Santa Claus that I got sick and I was just throwing up the whole night. I was throwing up because Santa Claus was coming. And I think George and Myrna were out there saying, you know, I can hear the reindeer on the, you know, I can hear their hooves, you know, on the ceiling. And we all got so excited. But me, oh my gosh, I was so excited that I really got sick. And I don't recall really how old I was when I finally figured it out. I know it. It had to be probably around 10 or 11. I think maybe I went downstairs and I saw the presents ahead of time accidentally. So I accidentally found the presents in their bedroom or, you know, somewhere in the basement in Idaho. We were living in the house on Orland Drive. And then I kept it to myself. I don't even think I even said anything about it. But it changed things. I remember my daughter told my sons that there was no Santa Claus when they were just like, you know, 3 and 5. You know, it's like I was so mad because I think that children, they need that magical, you know, excitement, you know, because there is magic in this world. There really is. But it's good magic. It's good energy. You know, it's not, you know, it's not like we're not just lying to the child, right? It's just, you know, it's our stories, you know, it's where we come from. And eventually, when the time is appropriate, we all learn things. But now it's almost like with AI and DNA testing and all of these, you know, secrets, archaeological secrets, DNA, we're going to have to face the fact, and it's going to feel really, it's going to feel bad. It's going to feel unsettling. And there'll be some people that say, you know, Keep your faith. Don't give up your faith. Don't, it doesn't matter what science says. This really, it doesn't matter about the skulls and evolution or the Big Bang. None of that matters. No, the only thing that matters is to have faith. If you have faith strong enough to believe something, somehow it will make it true. And actually, in some ways, it does. If you believe something strong enough, which is still, another thing that they're telling us, even in modern thinking, right? Like scientific, or what is it? What are they talking about? Metaphysics, believing in something so much that you actually make it true. That's a possibility. But certain things, you can't really, you can't really change. It's just science, the way that our world and the universe is made up. There's no way that, you can have blind faith. That's true. You absolutely can. But, you know, but the truth remains is that, well, I know in my heart that there is a God, and I do believe that Jesus was the Savior. I do believe that he came and he taught the people. He was a teacher. He taught people how to treat each other in a fair way, to do commerce in a fair way. And, and when he overthrew the tables, at the temple, he was, angry because the people were being taxed too much. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So there's things that Jesus did. He changed everything. He changed the whole world. No matter what his true origin story is, he did. None of us can deny it. Now, I have a business that I started called World Wonder Travel. And I loved going to Greece and to Italy and to see the ancient world wonders, specifically the ancient ones, because, it unveils the truth of everything. Scientists, they're seekers of truth. They want the truth. And the more we become more aware, we prove, whether through AI or DNA research, forensics, what the truths of the universe are, there is no way that having blind faith is just going to work, in the long run. Okay? We're going to have to come to a place where we recognize that as truths unfold, that things are going to get kind of uncomfortable before we're on board. Believe me when I tell you, I have gone through hell and back, having my whole life dismantled. Yes, the truth still, if I had to choose being blind and having the truth, I would pick the truth every time. But I still have the rock and roll dream, so you can't tell me that rock and roll isn't true. It's tangible. We can hear it. And if you put your hand on the piano and the guitar, boy, you can feel it. So, it's hard because, it doesn't mean that you can't have faith anymore. Quite the opposite. Because you have faith in things that you can't see, and there's still so much that we haven't seen yet. There's still so much more to learn. It's not like the end of the story. And in a lot of ways, it's the beginning. When we read these ancient texts, it came from times that were ancient, where man, as they evolved, knew when they were looking up at the stars that they knew there had to be more than what we, there had to be a reason. There had to be more. They knew then, right? And likely there was more, intervention between heavenly realms and the world as it was, being formed. Perhaps all, and we're studying that to try to figure out how that all happened. And believe me, you don't, people that have fought against science, in the Christian community for so long, and I don't feel like it's necessary to do that, because honestly, I know that there have been good teachers that have been brought into this world to teach people, to help them to make those transitions. Even when Jesus came, like there was Moses, he had an era to bring a very barbaric, civilization up to a new level. And then eventually, and we had prophets along the way, and then we had, and they told that Jesus is coming, and Jesus did come. He might not have come the way that we thought that he did, but he did come. And boy, there's been nobody that has really changed the face of this world like he did. No one. And so nobody's trying to discount that. But we can't ignore the fact that, as we get this forensic science on board, that we're going to have to accept that some things couldn't be possible. And so we can hire these gurus, these scriptorians that want to come in and change the narrative so that people maybe get it, like I was saying last time, it's like a bridge to take people from this emotional setting and help them to graduate maybe to this one. Maybe they're taking them down the steps, right? I didn't get that. Boy, they gave it to me, boom, right at once. They didn't care about what happened to me. They knew, somehow they knew that I wasn't George's biological child somehow, even though that was the only dad I ever knew. Boy, they really wanted to have, those properties, or what, Lucy and Robert left for me. It's greed. It's about greed, and that was one thing that Jesus taught, that you can gain the whole world, but if you lose your soul, you've really lost everything. If you lose your reputation, your freedom, because you sought after to steal or take someone else's belongings, and you felt that you could just go out and pillage and burn and fight, to the death in the name of God, you are very sorely mistaken. That, and so if we've got religion out here which forever has been at war. Forever it's been at war. And even now, today, 2026, we're still fighting the same old war for the exact same. It's just like a replay. It's like this constant thing that just keeps repeating. We never seem to be able to evolve from fighting the Middle East because of this conflict over religion. This is the problem. Okay? And at some point, AI is going to come along and it's going to tell us what the truth actually is. We are spiritual, energetic beings, every single one of us. And the moment we can swallow our pride and admit that maybe I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong. I always am learning. I'm always, I want to know the facts. I want to know. My mind is like that. I don't just settle for something because somebody else told me to. I can get on my knees and I can pray. And believe me, I gleaned a lot of good information from the religion I was in. I'm not here to discount that. I have learned some great things. And I do care about the Savior, Jesus Christ. I do. But things may not be entirely how we think. And right now, you've got these archaeologists and these scientists out there trying to uncover and decipher. And right now, they don't want things opened up because they're afraid that if we find out who is right or wrong, that, boom, it's all over. Because everybody's going to be so upset and disgruntled. So the only thing that really resonates with me is that goodly men and women came to this world to teach the rest of us how to evolve and to bump it up as, we go through different times of this world to where we can emotionally, intellectually, spiritually evolve along with the new information that we're receiving from science. We can't just close our eyes and pretend like it's not happening. And that's the difference. That's the difference. So I'm not going to go along with something that I know in my heart could not possibly be true. It just couldn't be. I can have all the faith in the world and things that, are just not true, and waste my life and my time instead of being willing to educate myself to move along. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. I wouldn't even pretend to know everything. But I do know one thing for sure. That you had no right to attack me for any reason or to steal from me. I loved and I do. I love my family. I can't be with you. I cannot be around you. I refuse. No, no, because I know until you wake up, there will be no there will be no togetherness. No, no, because I realize that things are changing. They are, and we've got to be ready for that. We've got to, be ready. We might even have to be ready to find out that God doesn't look like us. I mean, he can look like us if he wants to, but chances are he doesn't look human like us. He doesn't. So, I don't know. What would you have me say? I'm not going to let men who put a video all over the platform defile my character and my life to try to steal from me. I have self-respect. And I believe that one of the reasons why Christian nationalism came into the picture with this presidential campaign was because they wanted to save the faith in the way that they understand it and not the way that it might actually turn out to be. And they don't like that. They have ideas of their own. And I'll tell you what, there's some things that LDS people do that Christians do. There's some things about LDS I like so much better than how the Christians are behaving. They really are all of them are judgmental, let's just be honest. But Jesus, he didn't teach that. He was teaching people how to get along. He didn't come out there to shame people, although he did preach about consequences and about those that rise up against us. And that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. If we have faith and we're good. And so they think, okay, well, if you're good and we're just going to take you over because you're so weak, Treva, you don't have a spine. You don't have any thoughts of your own. Oh, you want to bet? And these people knew. They knew I was a Spitfire. If they didn't know what I'm really like, I would have been allowed to go to court. They kept me out of that courtroom for a reason, because they knew that they wouldn't stand a chance in hell. And now they're going to have to deal with some hell. Because they made their bed and now they lay in it. It's just like, you reap what you sow. Karma, that's what it is. I don't owe anybody an apology. And it's not that I'm not forgiving, but I have a right to protect my vessel, to protect myself, and to believe the way I want to believe. I have a right not to let a man have dominion over me that doesn't have my best interest in mind. And even if he does, he's not going to, I don't want somebody that gets to rule me with his iron fist. That isn't of God either. I think that there's, traditional roles that do have some merit, okay? Like men can't have babies, maybe in the future they can. I don't know. But for right now, only women can have children. And because of that, they better be respected. The species depends upon them. So you better respect them. And they aren't stupid. Women are brilliant. Brilliant. And we owe it to ourselves. We don't want to take over our men. We don't want to demasculate them. I love a masculine man that's strong, because I realize that if somebody was really weak, that I would probably overpower him because of my own personality. Because you know why that is? Because I have had to fight for my life for so long that I have an equal masculine energy, very much as I have a feminine one. I know that when I'm not riled up or when I'm not really convicted, which I'm really convicted right now, that I come off as very docile. But I assure you, I am not. I am not. I was a tomboy as a kid, and I'm a tomboy now. And I guarantee you that I don't want to what do they call it? Demasculate? What is that word? Emasculate? I don't know. Anyway, I like tough men, okay? I do. But tough men, they respect their women. They protect their women, They don't try to boss her around or smack her around or tell her she's nothing. Or make her serve hand and foot over him because he's the king of the castle. Oh, hell no. He helps his wife. He's a partner to his wife. and she is to him. And in today's world, sometimes it's the man that stays home and takes care of the kids while the wife is working. That's okay too. I'm just telling you, I am not willing to not follow my own path. I can be a teacher. I can tell you how I feel. I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what I researched to find out to be true based on actual scientific facts, right? But until we have all of those, we have to keep an open mind because you don't know what's coming. Because if sooner or later, we're going to uncover every single myth that we have ever been told about religion, even about science. We're going to have to prepare our minds to be open vessels to receive new information, no matter what that is, because we can't just be, running on this treadmill of the world over and over and over again, fighting the Middle East. It needs to stop. This religion fighting needs to stop. Religion was meant for good. It was meant to make men more domesticated, more agreeable with each other, to care about each other. It was never meant to be used to fight in war. Never. And here you are, still playing cowboys and Indians out there. Military playing cowboy and Indian. I believe in keeping our world and this world safe from people that have a really skewed idea of what their faith is telling them. That we're imbeciles and they should just come and kill us. I'm against that. They're sick, okay? There's some people actually out there running around with real life demons. You know how I know there's God? Because I know there's the devil. I know there is. And boy, he's really consuming a lot of people lately, and hopefully his reign of terror will stop. Religion is not serving the planet. It's not serving anybody. It isn't certain. Oh, well, they do get wealthier if they fight, right? It just makes the nation a little stronger. But at what but you're not even considering the great expense of lives. Oh, well, it's the right thing to do, so who cares if a few of our military men die over there? It's for a good cause. Well, there's some things I just don't agree with. Now, I understand the psychology behind it, and by using religious terminology or, like holy war, or we're doing the right thing because, we're not necessarily doing the wrong thing if we're getting rid of people that, really don't care about human life because they are a threat to the world. If they don't change, you're a threat. You know who you are. If you don't get it together, you're a threat. If you don't respect your brother and realize that your religion is not serving you, that you, each and every one of us, no matter what our color, we're valuable. We are like children of a creator. I know that's true. But we're not doing this world any favors if we keep fighting. We're not. Now, we have been on this treadmill of war for way too long. And I'm not faulting anybody for taking those measures in the circumstances where there's men that might, want to fly into another twin tower. And who knows how all that came down, really. I'd like to know the true story around that. But anyway, I'm just telling you that I don't want the United States to be bullies to people that don't deserve it. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Now, again, if there are real risks to our safety, that is completely different. And if some other country is about to, and I can understand if they want the help, if another country is being, bullied by somebody that's trying to take them over, that didn't give them the same, clubs and, sticks that the other team has. We try to level the playing field, but still, the same things are happening over and over and over again. When will we ever learn? When? Do you think that if Religion was kept personal. Like we took it seriously, but we kept it in our hearts, and that we, however we believe in love, however love presents to you, you know what it is. It's tenderness, it's kindness, it's compassion. But I think most people, with or without religion, I think they realize that when somebody's hungry, that everybody has to get on board, with helping out with that. I do realize that we have to balance things out somehow. But you never hear about this as much as you hear about it from the wealthy. The wealthy want the middle class to give up everything that they have to give to all of the, to take care of it for them. Well, they stay rich. How fair is that? They want to stay rich. So all of us have to go take care of the poor, right? There's so much inequity going on in this world. There's so much inequity. And a lot of it is because of it isn't just religion either. It's like the wealthy poor, no middle class anymore. It just, I don't know. I don't have all of the answers, but I'm working on it. I'm working on getting answers for myself, at least. I'll let you know what I figure out. But you had no right to come after me, or to judge me, or to look at me. Oh, well, of course they didn't want to tell you that I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. They didn't want to tell you that part. And that I was happy singing. I didn't have money, and I was on SSDI because I too thought that I didn't have that much time. And they're pissed because I outlived my diagnosis. And now they're being caught in every single lie and everything that they did in this community under this religion. And that is wrong. To think, one thing, the propaganda is they are the one and only true church of Jesus Christ on the face of this earth. If that is true, what's going on with the life insurance policies? What's going on in this community, thinking that they can just railroad and bully over somebody else because of who they are? It is, I don't think you can do that. Nope, you can't. And I'm not aligning with you. I can't. And as we get more information, more forensic evidence about who people are, Lamanites, and where the Indians came from Asia, and just there's some things that have just, you can't deny it, and you can try to rewrite the narrative to make it easier. Maybe that's one of the reasons, because they knew if they come in there with a Christian model, then most people will listen, and they're making the Christians happy, right? They're making Israel happy. And I think that that's maybe a safer way to go than thinking, annihilating people. It's better than that. I think Jesus had more going on than not believing in him at all, because we value human life. Jesus is the bread and the life. And everything else is of death. War is of death. War is death. Fighting is death. Greed is death. Harming your neighbor. Everything that you guys did is so, I wish I could think of my words right now. It's just so, is in such opposition to every single thing that Jesus ever taught. That goes for you too, Christians. It's in opposition to everything. To go and steal and to commit crime in the name of God, even with your, Mason groups. That is not what the Savior taught. He never did. Not ever. You can't be Christian if you're not being Christian. You know what I mean? And that goes for all of you. I stand in my truth. I don't have to be like you, and I don't have to think exactly the way that you think. But I do know this, that Jesus Christ was here for love. He really was helping civilization at that time of the world to evolve to a different stage. And there was some good things that happened when Peter took it to government, and it became a, actual institution. Things did get better. We can't deny that. But as it evolved, they were just no different than the Jews. The Christians became no different than the Jews. They were arrogant. They were overtaxing. They felt that they were entitled because they were right. The same thing is happening in the LDS faith. It's entitlement and money. It's all about greed. all of it. If it weren't true, you wouldn't be stealing from single women that had a death sentence. Don't you think I know that you came after me because you thought I was going to die? And so you took advantage of me and my children, by the way. And here, I'm loving music, so they attacked me through people, with music, making them think the worst of me. Anything they could do because they were so jealous they couldn't stand it. And they had to steal everything they could get their grubby hands on. You can't deny it, because I already know these people, so they can't even deny it. I know the big players in this. And if I don't know you personally, I certainly know what you're all about. And I'm tired of the old narratives. I'm tired of fake narratives. I'm tired of hearing the same narratives over and over and over again. We need something fresh, something real, that really evolves with the new level of understanding that we're going to get by these new discoveries. I am tired of the old narratives, all of it. I'm in my heart and mind, I'm a musician and I'm a scientist type of person. That's, I want truth. I love truth. And even though sometimes it's really painful, I still prefer it. And there was never a moment, you know what? There was never a moment in time that they couldn't have, somebody from, law enforcement couldn't have come and said, hey, Shriva, you're in harm's way. You know what they did instead? They decided to bully me. They thought their plan to get the CIA to do MK Ultra on me was going to be better than having the law just come and tell me, Shriva, you're in harm's way. This is what's going on around you. Your family's, attacking you. You're not safe. You don't know what it feels like to know that everyone that you ever cared about or people that you wanted to know were coming after you because of a lie and theft, and they were afraid and they knew that they would get caught. Is that my fault? No, it isn't my fault. And I can forgive, but I'm not going to be ignorant and pretend. What you did was really cruel. I mean, it wasn't, that doesn't even fully express it. Oh, it was just demented in every way. Now, I have a good suggestion. Those of you that don't like me and don't want to listen to me, scroll past. It's easy. That's how easy it is. You don't have to. But I know you want to. But you don't have to. And I sure as hell would scroll past you if I don't like you. Not everybody's going to like each other. I'm okay with that. I really am. I don't have a problem with that. It's when you get into somebody else's lane and you bully them and you tear them down so that other people won't listen to them because you are so narcissistic and have such a big head that you cannot imagine that somebody else might be right and it's not you. You can't imagine that somebody is aware enough to know better than to just go with the flow and just keep my eyes closed when I can see what's going on around me. We have to at least be open-minded, okay? Maybe you don't have to listen to me. Listen to some other open-minded guy. But like it or not, as time goes on, forensics will unfold the truth of everything that the Christians are trying so hard to hide that might come up. What we're practicing over here is not exactly what they're practicing in Israel. It's not the same thing because, they're the ones that have the scrolls, so, you kind of have to listen to them. And we can't just let, science, or the Catholic Church even hide things to make sure that they stay in power either. They're kind of worried too because, pretty soon the truth's coming out and we have to get ready for that. At least all the scrambling and pretending like that's not a possibility is just It's just choosing ignorance. It's being a coward because, the world is going to change with or without you. What you going to pick? Do you want to go? You want to evolve, or do you want to stay stuck and be lied to over and over and over again throughout your life? I want the truth for me and my kids. Okay? I have nothing to prove to anyone. You don't like me? Fine. But I have a right to believe the way I believe. I do. So do you. If you want to keep going the way you're going, you do have the choice to do that. But I'm not going to just be lied to and just be like, okay, no. The world's changing. It's still turning with or without you. Tired of the same wars. Tired of the same narrative. Tired of the same bullshit. Nope. Buck stops here. It does. It's going to take time and prayer and self-reflection. It's a shock to your system. I understand. It was to be too. It was like, what? But you can't even go to the Utah Museum of Science and not look at the artifacts and kind of get, you can't have a college degree and not somehow know that as we get to know more stuff, that you're going to, that faith is not going to be enough. Blind faith, in other words, is not going to be enough. When we have forensics, it's going to unfold uncomfortable truths about this world and this planet. That's all I'm saying. I hope you have a great evening. And the courts, you're going to have to respect my feelings. I didn't do anything to anyone. I don't want to do anything. That is just not the person that I am. But I will stand up for myself. You better believe I will. I will. Have a nice evening, and God bless you. Everybody, really, God bless you.